Hey cats, it's your midsole man Ed Budd here, today with an initial review of the ADIZERO EVO SL ATR from ADIDAS. This is a shoe I've picked up with my own Earth credits here in the UK. I purchased them from the website Size, and they cost me about £126. My UK 11 or US 11.5 weigh 299 grams or 10.6 ounces, so we're close to 40 grams heavier than the standard EVO SL from Adidas. Width-wise, almost exactly the same as the standard version. It seems to be pretty much the same midsole unit, though the upper and outsole are changed quite drastically. So this is supposedly an all-terrain version of the EVO SL, perhaps for use in winter when the going gets slightly tougher. How does it match up against its standard daily counterpart? The upper here is very different to the standard version. I was really pleased to see some gusseting on either side of the tongue to stop it sliding around. That was a big problem I had in the standard version of the shoe. Though I did find that extra material does bunch a little bit down the bottom section towards the toe box. It sat in a weird place on my foot, made it feel a little bit uncomfortable. You have to spend a bit of time just getting the tongue sat exactly where you want it to be, and make use of this pull tab as well at the top of the tongue to make sure it's sat nice and flush across the whole of your foot. Once you've sorted out that though, the upper's pretty comfortable, it has to be said. I think perhaps if you're looking to wear these as a leisure option, they're not as comfortable as the standard version of the EVO SL. The mesh is more trail-like here. It does dry quite quickly actually. I got these absolutely saturated on my second run today. There's a bit more structure around the toe box, certainly. You've got this water repellent section right around the front, and that joins onto this sort of almost rubbery style feel piece, which is right at the front of the toe box to perhaps protect the toes a little bit from tree roots or any other debris that you might meet out on the trails. A few people have mentioned to me that this isn't an out-and-out trail shoe. Well, I'd suggest it certainly isn't an all-terrain shoe by any stretch. The materials are a little bit thicker around the foot, and I think that's what's making up most of the extra weight here in the EVO SL ATR. There is another pull tab at the back of the shoe. Haven't really found that I need this. Perhaps you really like those and they help you get your shoes on, but most of the time I think you should just untie them and retie them when you need it. The serrated laces are no doubt a really welcome addition here in this new version. Easy to cinch up and make for a nice consistent lock over the top of the foot, though the thicker and slightly less flexible upper mean it's sort of one step forward and one step back really, so it's not really perfect by any stretch. I did get a bit of bunching around the initial eyelets here at the front of the shoe, though at least we have those extra eyelets back here towards the end of the chain, so you can do a runner's knot if you want to. That mudguard actually around the toe box does help to keep a little bit of moisture out. I did find once moisture got into the shoe though, it did stick around for a while, but when any running shoe gets wet, it's pretty much exactly the same situation. I've always chuckled a bit at these sort of water repellent or resistant uppers on running shoes. Once the water gets in there, only your foot is going to get rid of it. Midsole, midsole, midsole now. So midsole, it's the same as the EVO SL. Let's move on. No, I'm only joking. It's certainly compressive here. It almost feels a little bit softer than the other pair I've got, the standard version. It is inherently quite unstable in the heel. If you had problems with the standard one, then you're probably going to have problems with this one. That lateral curve on the edge here of the heel, a lot of people complain about that, and on the trails, certainly light trails apparently as well. I don't run on heavy trails or technical trails. I found this to be extremely unstable. Just to show you, there's a bit of stone content around here, but when you're on anything else, there's not a lot of grip. The lugs just aren't quite deep enough really, I guess, for proper out and out trail use. And very slippery in fact, and I think the compressive nature of the foam and the compressive nature of the lugs here as they push into that foam really don't help matters. I did find the shoe can move faster if it wants to, certainly on some more consistent surfaces and terrain. It really does move. Kind of feels more like a weatherized EVO SL rather than an out and out trail version. It's got that same responsive feel, though you do feel the extra weight on foot. It doesn't feel as nimble as the standard version. No doubt this stuff will take a little bit of time to break in, so it feels fully like perhaps the standard one. I did measure actually my other pair, and that's flattened out by a couple of mil from when I first reviewed it, so that'll probably happen here and you'll end up with a very slightly wider shoe it's not quite as tall. So you lose the height, but you gain the width. If you're a big fan of the EVO SL midsole and you want a weatherized version of it, then you'll be like a pig in mud. But you might not want to go on the mud, because I almost had to cut my run short, really. It was absolutely useless on mud, this outsole. So this might be an all-terrain version of the EVO SL, but on slippery mud, absolutely lethal. So be very aware if you pick up a pair of these. It's going to be alright for gravel and stuff like that, but yeah, anything remotely muddy or slippery, I'm putting my life in my hands here. I mean, the lugs at the tallest point are about 2 mil. Once they get wet, I mean, it's even worse then. On harder surfaces, the lugs almost seem to disappear, really, because your foot hits the floor and they kind of compress into the Light Strike Pro. Did feel pretty decent on gravel, so if you're running on that sort of surface all the time, then great. The heel lugs are a little bit more hearty here, but I can't say it was the most assuring of outsoles. On the forest floors, they were okay, but I had to keep going down the gears, especially when I was feeling that slip on toe off. The section at the front here is very malleable. They could have gone, you know, a little bit further perhaps with some extra height, but I think this shoe's very much aimed at being like a early morning or late evening winterized version, and perhaps ATR isn't the best description for it. I did notice somebody commented on my Strava post about this shoe and said it wasn't aimed at the trails, and I think they're right actually, but it's certainly not an all-terrain shoe. On gravel it's okay, dry areas, yeah, no problem, but for those sort of non-technical trails, someone said my trail wasn't even a trail actually at one point, but yeah, it's like a bog, I suppose, in certain areas. It was pretty bad. You might get away with the outsole on like a decent park area with some like tarmac paths, but just be really careful on like slippery like leaf areas, any mud patches. In most cases like that, a dedicated trail shoe is going to be way better than the outsole here. No ice to test this one on at all. We did have some very cold temperatures earlier in the week, but it's just back to standard rain now. Value wise, 126 notes. I think it's alright actually at that sort of price. It's round about the same as the EVO SL. If you're going to be doing lots of running, perhaps on some wet pavements and concrete, you're gonna love this one. It is a little bit heavier than the standard version, but I think it actually makes up for it with some decent protection here around the front of the foot, and the mesh seems to dry out reasonably quickly once you get them back home. Gotta say, I kind of like the looks of this one as well. Aesthetically, it's a great looking shoe. It's going to come in handy over the winter months for sure. If you're going to buy one pair or one pair only though, I think the standard version's just got a little bit over this one. Wee bit lighter, it just feels a bit more nimble. I mean, could they have done away with the pull tabs and stuff? Do you really need the gusseting here? Well, I didn't get any tongue slide, that's for sure, in this new version, but then again that added extra material just felt a little bit weird around my foot, especially if you hadn't taken the time to sort of even it out and flatten it out. So I think I'd still recommend that you go for the standard version in almost all cases really. If you got some decent road or pavement to run on, then it's probably ample. Just get yourself a pair of serrated laces and put those in here. Are you going to pick up the ADIZERO EVO SL ATR? If you do, don't go and run on any major trails with it, especially if there's been a lot of rain. Hopefully they'll release a few more colourways. They all seem to be quite dark at the moment. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one down in the comments. I'm not bothering with scores. It's a little bit too close to the EVO SL to make it all that meaningful, I think. It's just like another flavour. It's kind of like if I reviewed a pizza and then added a couple of ingredients to it or something. It's just a bit weird to do that. Hope you understand. Quick musical interlude for you. I don't know if you noticed on Strava, but we got our Christmas tree up. We've had it up for a while actually, because we've got a small Christmas enthusiast in our house who does Santa like every single day. We have to sit there like in the dark, and then he comes around and delivers presents and stuff. It's pretty wild. Been listening to all the Christmas tunes to get in the mood, and to be honest with you, I'd quite like it if it was Christmas every day, because I love Christmas too. I'm not afraid to say that. I know some people out there are a bit cynical about all that sort of stuff, but you know, I've been watching A Christmas Story, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Look kids, a deer. But I've also been listening to the Brian Setzer Orchestra, their fantastic version of Angels We Have Heard on High. This is absolutely beautiful. The strings, the brass, the wonderful roar of Brian's Gretsch guitar. It's got everything. It's kind of like a show tune, but rock and roll all mixed together, and it just gives you that wonderful Christmas feeling. It's boombastic, you know, it's over the top, but what's wrong with that, hey? It's from the album Dig That Crazy Christmas. Go and check it out, the Brian Setzer Orchestra. You won't be disappointed. Maybe you can ask Santa for a copy for Christmas, you never know. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. Also help to hype the video by going to the comments and scrolling to the left, and you should be able to find this hype button to get it out to more runners, and that's what we need, people. My name's Ed Budd and I'll be seeing you. Half considering a bit of a rethink here because this trail is very, very wet. It's pretty waterlogged. I'm down to a bit of a crawl really, because these just haven't really got an awful lot of grip underneath them. Where there's a bit of stony content to the ground, it's a little bit better, and this section of the trail isn't quite so bad. But back there I went flying. It's not going to be a substitute for an out-and-out trail shoe by any stretch of the imagination. I think when you couple the very shallow lugs with the quite compressive and squashy midsole, it's one of those situations where you're asking for trouble really. Yeah, that's not what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be a bit better than this, but it's actually pretty poor. I'm having to run mainly on grass now because it's something to grip onto underneath. Through mud it's pretty lethal. Good to get back on the road, in fairness. These feel great on pavement, concrete, on gravel fine, but anything else, don't chance it.